Hey guys, it's Hillbilly RC here. Just wanted to take a second and just got these in. The Gmade piggybacks, XDs. Got the 103s millimeter. I want a little extra height, but wanted to open these up with you guys. And I'm gonna get to building one so I can do it on camera and not look like a fool. Alright, be back soon. Hello everyone, welcome back. So built a couple of these now. They're these Gmades. Not too difficult. Yeah, let's go ahead and I'll put one of these together for you guys here on camera. And even though there are tons of videos out there for these Gmades that show you how to put them together, and I figured I'd put one together for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, first step is get everything you need off the parts tree for one shock. That's what I've been doing. Be careful with your knives. Cut yourself. Well, that's your problem, not mine. I can do it enough to myself. I don't need to worry about anybody else cutting themselves. Alright, you need E-clips. I need 2 of those. Come on. Alright, you are going to need 2 of these little tiny clear O-rings. I need to pull 2 of those out too. Make sure you are doing this somewhere clean. No dust, dirt. You know, lay something down to lay your parts on so you're not transferring stuff. Anything type of granule is gonna tear the O-rings, do damage, which you don't want. Okay, this is parts bag. There we go. I'm using, I don't know if this thing will focus in so you can actually see the holes. This one here is 2 hole, 3 hole, 4 holes. I'm using the 4 hole. I want the fluid to pass quicker. And make sure to trim everything nicely. Make sure there's no sharp edges. Just take your knife, clean everything up really well on all this. It'll save you trouble in the long run. And see what I mean? I gotta worry about cutting myself. Alright, get the E-clip. You got a small pair of needle nose, something like that, that helps. Be careful, these things do like to fly off. Go ahead, take your valve, put it on. Piston, valve, whatever you want to call it. This is the tricky part, and this is where you might lose a clip, so be careful. This is going to be hard for me to do on camera. Oh, there we go. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Alright, piston assembly is done. Next, and go to your parts tree. There is this one here, and this one here. These are spacers for inside the man, I'm having a serious brain fart right now. The O-ring pack. Spacers for the O-ring pack. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, been a long day. Have a nice little brain fart here. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. Again, just make sure to clean up all this stuff. Definitely don't want to tear anything. Okay. So, usually I'd use a dielectric grease, something like that, to put on my O-rings to keep them from tearing. Is when you're stuffing stuff through, putting stuff through it, like threads, stuff like that, and you don't have lube on there, you're gonna tear the O-rings, and then your shocks are gonna leak. So, gotta be careful. Oil them, lube them, do whatever you gotta do to keep them from tearing. With these though, I'm just using a little bit of the shock oil that came with the kits. Alright, so first O-ring goes in, then the spacer without the groove on it is going to go next. Then you're going to go another O-ring, make sure you get some oil in them, another O-ring, and then the spacer with the groove is going to go on next, and that's your last piece. Then there's this little clip here. I don't know if this camera's going to pick it up. There's this little groove right in here that this clip's going to slide into, and it's also going to slide into that spacer with the grooves, and that's what holds everything together there. If it will go together for me. No. So here we go. See if this will go finally. I have to work it in until that clip is seated properly. You're not going to be able to see it with this camera, unfortunately. Alright. Next is take the piggyback. Alright. This bag with the larger O-rings, and then also the aeration screws. Go ahead, open this bag up. You're going to want one of the aeration screws. And I don't know if you can see in that bag, there's a little tiny O-ring. Smallest one in the kit. You want one of those. Okay, just like any of the other O-rings, get some oil on it. Especially with it going over the threads, you don't want to tear this thing. Alright. Now that that's on there, in the instructions it does say, I think 2.5 for the Allen. It's not the right size in there. It's go to the standard version of roughly 3 mil. And that should be the one you need. Now if I can find mine. Come on, I just had it. Or not. Oh, this is lovely. Let's see if I can get this thing on. Okay. Alright, remember there are no threads inside of this, so you're forming the threads as you turn this in. Be careful, don't cross thread, and you don't want to strip the threads out either, because this thing's going to heat up as you're doing it. As you're screwing this in, the metal heats up against the plastic, and you can end up pulling those threads out very easy. So definitely be careful. Alright, gonna take this a little slow. Get this thing snugged up. Alright, there we go. Got that nice and snug. Alright, next. You're going to take your spring adjustment and thread that down onto the shock body. And you can see, alright guys, sorry about that. Had a little camera mishap with the SD card. So, got the shock filled. Alright, the piston, got 2 O-rings on it. Gonna put the piston in on the piggyback side and slowly push it down. And it's gonna push the fluid and the rest of the air back up into the main shock body. There we go. Alright, now that that's like that, and top off the shock with some oil here. And then go ahead, take the shock shaft and the piston and start slowly dropping it in. I just kind of let it do it itself. It'll pull itself down and out. And what we're going to do is I like to let it sit for a minute and get some of the air out of the shocks, or out of the oil. And yes, this is a messy job. So this has been setting. So we're going to go ahead, get some oil all over this, and we are going to slide this cap on. And be careful with these caps, because everything I've read and seen, they like to cross thread. So I usually push down a little bit, spin it the opposite way, and you'll feel it kind of drop into place. And that's where you want your to go ahead and start threading it in the right way. Once it drops, then you know you're not cross threading. Alright, now they supply this nifty little wrench for you. You want to hold the shock shaft down. Mind you, oil is going to go all over the place while you're doing this. You're going to sit here, tighten this down, make sure to hold the shaft down. Check the piston over here, make sure it hasn't come up. Alright, there we go, nice and tight. It's drawing itself back in. There we go. Double check that piston. Yep. Okay. I'll wipe up some of that oil. Now, going to get one of these piggyback bodies out. Also, one of the piggyback screws and springs. And gonna get the little O-ring out. Alright. Now this little O-ring, I got so much oil on my fingers. It's gonna go down in here. I've been taking the screw, flipping it upside down, trying to help seat that O-ring. Alright, and then you're going to take this, screw it in, just enough. Now, drop the spring in. There is, that was one piece I did not get off the tree. There's another little plastic spacer. The nipple right here goes towards the spring. Then thread on the bottom half of the piggyback. Make sure no cross thread. Tighten that up. Now tighten that up. You'll watch the spring, or you'll watch the piston go up. And the tighter you go, the stiffer this gets. So, there's that. Now, you just get your spring cup or retainer ready. Get the shock end. And the bumper. Slide that in. Put your shock end on. Put your spring and everything on, and you're good to go. Alright guys, I hope this was helpful. Again, these are the Gmade piggyback 103s millimeter. If you guys are enjoying the show, please subscribe, and we will see you next time on Hillbilly RC.